1530, Echigo Province, a land torn apart by endless civil war. This is where one man's story was about to begin. The Nagao clan ruled Echigo Province. Their fortress, Kasugayama Castle, stood alone against the frozen mountains, a stronghold of power in an age without mercy. At the head of this clan stood Nagao Tamikage, a man of iron will and absolute authority, who held Echigo Province in the grip of his power. But Echigo Province was drowning in blood, clan against clan, battle after battle. The people of this land knew nothing but the endless cycle of war. In the second year of Tenbun, 1530, amidst the chaos of a divided land, a new life came into this world within the walls of Kasugayama Castle. The child was named Torachio, born in the year of the tiger, a small and fragile life, carrying within him the destiny of a warrior. Torachio was the fourth son of Nagao Tamikage, never meant to inherit the clan. While his brothers laughed and played, he sat alone in the shadows, watching, waiting, silent. That stormy night, no one could know what this child would become. That stormy night, no one could know what this child would become. At just 6 years old, Torachio was taken to Rinsenji Temple, alone in the snow. Rinsenji Temple, hidden deep within the mountains, a place of silence and transformation. The monk Tensitsu Koiku received him. This meeting would shape the very soul of a future god of war. Martial arts, scholarship, Zen. Day by day, the boy grew stronger, in body and in spirit. Staring into the fading light, the boy began to understand what it truly meant to live with justice. Under his brother Harukage's rule, Echigo remained in chaos. The clans rose in rebellion, one after another. In 1544, Kagetora was only 15 years old when he first entered the battlefield. The enemy, thousands strong, his own forces, barely 100. But the young warrior did not retreat. Under the cover of darkness, he led a desperate charge straight into the enemy's heart. Victory cries echoed across the battlefield. The boys' first battle ended in triumph. From that day forward, rumors began to spread across the land. A tiger has been born in Echigo. Under his brother Harakage, Echigo descended into chaos once more. The clans demanded a stronger leader. (1548). At 19 years old, Kagetora became the head of the Nagao clan. One by one, he crushed the rebellions. Clan by clan, he brought Echigo under his control. At 22, Kagetora achieved what his father never could, the complete unification of Echigo province. He established trade monopolies and built a strong economic foundation. Echigo was no longer a land of chaos. A new era had begun in Echigo, the era of the young tiger, and his legend was only just beginning. In 1552, Norimasa fled to Echigo, driven out by the Hojo clan. Kenshin sheltered him. Abandoning the weak was not justice. Warriors from Shinano came, their land seized by Shingen. Kenshin turned none of them away. He did not march for territory or wealth. His sword was drawn for one reason alone: justice. With his banner raised, Kenshin marched from Echigo, not as a conqueror, but as the sword of justice. His righteous cause gained recognition across the land. In a world of chaos, one warrior chose a different path. In an age of betrayal and ambition, one man still chose to fight for what was right. Two great warlords emerged on opposite sides of the same land. One fought with strategy and diplomacy, the other with justice and force. The battles of Kawanakajima began in 1553. Neither side would yield. Neither side would break. Kenshin struck hard and fast, driving forward with raw conviction. Shingen moved slowly, calculating every step before taking it. 5 times they met on the field of Kawanakajima. 5 times the outcome was left unresolved. They were opposites in every way, yet each recognized in the other a worthy equal. The rivalry between them was not merely military. It was a collision of 2 entirely different visions of the world. In 1561, the 4th Battle of Kawanakajima began. For the first time, both armies met in direct collision. Kenshin led the charge himself, driving deep into the heart of the Takeda Formation. battlefield became chaos. Two armies locked together in total, desperate combat. Takeda's finest generals fell that day. The losses on both sides were unlike anything before. Yet when the smoke cleared, no victor stood. The ground was soaked, but neither flag had fallen. The fourth battle of Kawanakajima became legend. The day two giants met, and neither could destroy the other. In 1561, Kenshin led an army of 100,000 to surround Odawara Castle, stronghold of the Hojo clan. The siege stretched on, but the castle held firm. Supply lines weakened. The limits of the campaign became clear. Uesugi Kenshin withdrew, not in defeat, but with the discipline of a commander who knew his limits. At Tsurugaoka Hachimangu Shrine in Kamakura, Kenshin received the Uesugi name and the title of Kanto Kanrei. He was no longer Nagao Kagetora. He was now Uesugi Masatora, guardian of the East. The title brought responsibility, not triumph. A new name, a heavier burden, the same unbroken will. Kenshin led his forces into battle season after season, crossing mountains and plains. His campaign stretched from the snowy north to the distant Kanto plains. Unlike other warlords, Kenshin chose to walk the path of solitude his entire life. He never married, dedicating himself fully to the way of the warrior and justice. To secure his legacy, Kenshin welcomed two adopted sons into the Uesugi clan, Kagetora and Kagekatsu, two heirs whose fates would one day collide. Governing Echigo while commanding distant campaigns tested every limit of his leadership. He managed finances, alliances, and armies with remarkable precision and discipline. Behind the fearsome general lived a man of surprising sensitivity and care. His letters to retainers revealed deep concern for their families and well-being. Uesugi Kenshin stood between two worlds, the ideal of justice and the weight of reality. This tension defined him, making him unlike any other warlord of his age. Shogun Ashikaga Yoshiaki was driven from Kyoto by Oda Nobunaga. The old order collapsed, and warlords across Japan were forced to choose sides. Those who opposed Nobunaga looked northward to Uesugi Kenshin. Desperate messengers arrived at Kasugayama Castle, pleading for the dragon of Echigo. Kenshin answered the call. Righteousness demanded he confront Nobunaga's growing ambition. In 1577, he led his forces westward into Noto and Kaga provinces. At the Tadorigawa River, the Oda army held the opposite bank, numerous and confident. Kenshin's forces studied the terrain, calculating every advantage. In a swift assault, Uesugi Kenshin crushed the Oda forces at Tedorigawa. It was the first major defeat Nobunaga's army had suffered in years. News of the victory spread across Japan. A final clash seemed inevitable. The dragon of Echigo and the demon king of Owari were now on a collision course. In early 1578, Uesugi Kenshin began planning his greatest campaign yet. A massive eastern expedition was set to crush the Hojo clan once and for all. Ikasugayama Castle buzzed with preparation, troops, supplies, and iron resolve. The dragon of Echigo had never seemed more unstoppable. Then, without warning, Uesugi Kenshin collapsed within the castle walls. No blade had touched him. No enemy had reached him. Yet he fell. For days he lay motionless, unconscious and beyond the reach of medicine. His generals gathered in silence, unable to accept what they were witnessing. On the 13th day of the 4th month, Uesugi Kenshin breathed his last. He was 49 years old. The dragon of Echigo was gone. He had named no successor. The throne of Echigo stood empty. A war of succession, the Otate no Ran, was about to begin. Throughout his life, Uesugi Kenshin led nearly 70 campaigns. Of all those battles, he suffered clear defeat only twice. He never sought to conquer the land or claim the throne. He fought for righteousness, a principle that guided every decision. A legendary tale endured through the centuries. When his rival Takeda Shingen faced a salt blockade, Uesugi Kenshin sent salt across enemy lines. The warlords of his age pursued power, territory, and dominance. Uesugi Kenshin pursued something different, a code that transcended warfare. He became known as the Dragon of Echigo, the god of war. His name echoed not as a conqueror, but as a warrior of principle. Uesugi Kenshin never unified Japan, never sat upon its throne, yet his legacy endures, proof that how one fights matters as much as whether one wins.